You are not alone, and yet you feel lonely. You're surrounded by people. Maybe you even get messages all day. Likes, notifications, group chats. But something still aches. You scroll, you reply, you smile, you work, and deep down, there's an emptiness that won't go away. An invisible silence that echoes louder than the noise around you. This is the paradox of our time. We've never been more connected and never felt so alone. Because modern loneliness isn't about being physically isolated. It's not about lacking company. It's about lacking connection. Real, honest, soul-level connection. The kind that makes you feel seen without having to explain yourself. The kind that exists even in silence. This video is not just about loneliness. It's about why you feel disconnected in a world full of connections. It's about the deep emotional hunger that isn't fed by scrolling, replying, or pretending. It's about the real reason why being social doesn't stop you from feeling empty. If you've ever wondered why you still feel hollow after a long day of interaction, if you've ever felt invisible in a crowd, if you've ever smiled while your heart whispered, "No one truly sees me," this video is for you. Let's begin. We often imagine loneliness as someone sitting alone in a dark room, isolated from the world. But the truth is more unsettling. You can feel deeply lonely while texting 5 people at once. You can feel unseen while posting stories of your life to hundreds of followers. You can feel disconnected even in the middle of a conversation. That's because modern loneliness hides behind interaction. It wears a mask, and it's harder to recognize. You might be talking all day, but are you sharing anything real? You might be surrounded by people, but do they know you? Not your filtered self, not your busy self, but your true self. This is the loneliness that drains slowly, not the sharp sting of being physically alone, but the slow erosion of feeling emotionally invisible. We now live in a culture of performance, where we connect to show, not to feel. Where we edit ourselves for approval instead of exposing our truth. Where we avoid depth because vulnerability feels unsafe. And so we live in public, but suffer in private. Smiling on the outside, shrinking on the inside. If this feels familiar, you're not broken. You're just living in a world that confuses performance for presence. And your heart is quietly asking for something real. Sometimes it's hard to even name what you're feeling. You go through your day, do your tasks, reply to messages, smile when needed. And yet, something's missing. It's not sadness exactly, not boredom, not anxiety, just a quiet emptiness. Like a room with all the furniture, but no warmth. Like a voice inside saying, "This isn't what connection is supposed to feel like." This is emotional loneliness. And the hardest part is, it doesn't always look like suffering. You might be doing well. You might be productive, social, even successful. But deep inside, you feel unheld, unmet, unknown. That's because loneliness isn't cured by proximity. It's cured by presence. Someone can be sitting right next to you and still make you feel completely alone. What your nervous system craves isn't just attention, it's attunement. Someone truly seeing you, feeling you, being with you without fixing, judging, or performing. But in a world where conversations are rushed, attention is fragmented, and vulnerability is rare, we become strangers to each other, and eventually, strangers to ourselves. So if you feel disconnected, not just from others but from life itself, it's not your fault. You're not too sensitive. You're just noticing the emptiness that others have learned to ignore. Let's be honest, deep connection sounds beautiful, but it's also terrifying. To be truly seen means showing more than your polished self. It means revealing the parts of you that feel unworthy, messy, or uncertain. And somewhere along the way, many of us learned that being fully ourselves was a risk. That honesty might cost us acceptance. That vulnerability might invite rejection. So we adapt. We become likable, pleasant, entertaining, smart. We hide our sadness behind jokes. We mask our anxiety with busyness. We pretend we're okay, even when we're falling apart inside. But the more we curate our image, the more invisible we become. People love the version of us we perform, but no one knows the version we actually are. And that's the loneliest place to be surrounded and still feel unknown, to be praised and still feel unloved. Loneliness often isn't about lack of interaction. It's about the deep fear that if we stopped performing, no one would stay. So we hide. And every time we do, we feel more alone. But what if the connection you're craving is only possible when you stop hiding? Modern life has taught us to confuse stimulation with connection. We get constant pings, endless content, updates, stories, reactions. It feels like something is happening all the time. But here's the truth. Being reachable isn't the same as being held. Being seen isn't the same as being known. Being watched isn't the same as being understood. Social media offers the illusion of closeness without the risk of intimacy. You can share a thought and get 100 likes, but still cry alone at night with no one to call. You can be visible to the world and still feel invisible in your real life. We've built digital lives that are full of activity but empty of depth. We've trained our brains to crave interaction, not connection. And now, silence feels unbearable. Stillness feels like loneliness. But maybe it's not loneliness. Maybe it's just withdrawal from superficial noise. That's why scrolling doesn't soothe you. That's why after hours online, you still feel empty. Because what you truly crave isn't more content, it's more contact. Not with more people, but with something real. And the real is often quiet, slow, and a little bit scary. But it's the only thing that can touch the place inside you that aches. Loneliness doesn't always start with other people. Sometimes it begins with you. Think about it. How often do you check in with yourself, truly? Not just how was your day, but how does your heart feel right now? What emotion are you avoiding? What part of you is silently asking to be held? Most of us live in a constant state of distraction, not just from the world, but from our own feelings. We fill the silence so we don't have to hear the ache. We stay busy so we don't have to face the emptiness. But here's the truth most people avoid. You can't feel connected to others if you're disconnected from yourself. You can't build intimacy when your inner world is a stranger to you. That gnawing feeling of loneliness? It might not just be about other people. It might be your own soul missing you. The version of you that you've ignored. The voice inside you that you've silenced. The emotions you've numbed, judged, or pushed away. Before anyone else can hold you, you must first learn to hold yourself. And that begins with slowing down, with feeling what's there, with daring to be present, even when it hurts. We all want to feel close to someone, but very few of us are willing to do what true closeness demands. Being seen as we are, and that's risky. Because what if they don't like the real you? What if they leave? What if they see the mess, the need, the fear, and walk away? So we settle for half connection. We show parts of ourselves, carefully edited. We say what's safe. We laugh when we want to cry. We hold back what we're truly feeling because we fear it's too much. But here's the paradox. The very thing you hide is what would make you feel connected. The tears you swallow, the truth you suppress, the need you disguise as strength. Connection isn't built on perfection. It's built on honesty. And honesty is messy, awkward, and vulnerable. But it's also the only bridge between two real human beings. You don't need hundreds of followers to feel less alone. You need one person who sees you and stays. But to be seen, you have to stop hiding. And that's the hardest part. Not because you're weak, but because you've been taught that love must be earned by shrinking yourself. It's time to unlearn that. From a young age, many of us were taught that emotions should be controlled. Don't cry. Be strong. Don't be so sensitive. So we learned. Vulnerability is weakness. Emotion is dangerous. Needs are a burden. And so we became experts at hiding. We smile when we're breaking. We say, "I'm fine," when we're not. We convince others, and sometimes ourselves, that we don't need anything. But deep connection is only possible when we show up as human, not as a brand, not as a role, not as someone who always has it together. The loneliness you feel might not come from lack of love, but from a lack of space to be real, to be messy, to be tender, to be scared, to say, "I don't have it all figured out," and be met with compassion, not shame. In a world obsessed with independence and self-sufficiency, we forget that humans are wired for interdependence. We heal in relationships. We grow through connection. We remember who we are when we're met with presence, not performance. So the next time you feel lonely, ask yourself, are you actually alone? Or have you just been hiding the parts of you that most need to be seen? There's no quick fix for modern loneliness, but there is a way back. And it doesn't begin with doing more. It begins with feeling more. Start small. Practice presence, even if just for a moment. Put the phone down. Let silence be silence. Ask yourself honestly, what am I feeling right now? And let the answer come without judgment. Reach out to one person, not with a perfect message, not with a funny meme, but with truth. Hey, I've been feeling a little off lately. Just wanted to share that. You'd be surprised how many people are waiting for permission to be real. Remember, connection doesn't require performance. It requires courage. The courage to be seen, to be soft, to be human. And that includes connection with yourself. Instead of numbing your feelings, try listening to them. Instead of pushing through exhaustion, try asking what your body needs. Instead of trying to be strong all the time, allow yourself to be held, even if only by your own breath. You don't have to figure it all out today, but you can take one step back toward something true, and that one step is already enough. If you've made it this far, maybe something in you feels seen, and maybe that's all you needed today. Not advice, not motivation, just recognition. That the ache you carry has a name. That your loneliness isn't weakness. That your longing for connection is not a flaw. It's a sign of your humanity. The world teaches us to harden, to keep going, to stay distracted. But your heart knows better. It knows what it's like to lie awake at night, wondering if anyone really knows you. It knows the weight of pretending you're okay. It knows how exhausting it is to feel invisible while performing togetherness. So here's your reminder. You were never meant to carry all of this alone. Not your sadness, not your doubts, not your fear of being too much or not enough. There is nothing wrong with you for needing others. There is nothing wrong with you for needing yourself. The cure for modern loneliness isn't more people. It's more presence, more honesty, more slowness, more courage to show up without the mask. And maybe, just maybe, this video has been your first small moment of connection today. If it helped you, stay with us. Because you are not alone in this. Not anymore.